This is a recording for the Oral Archives at Trowbridge Museum. The date is the 21st of February 1992. Mrs Joyce Henley, who worked as a twister-on at Palmer and Mackay's Court Mills, is talking to Margaret Neville.
So 2 shillings a week for your Christmas party then?
It's rather a lot.
How much were you paid a week?
Oh, we wasn't paid very much. I think my wages must come to £7 something. It wasn't very much a week. So 2 shillings really was a lot of money.
Yes. And you weren't paid piece rates or anything?
No, it was just flat rates. There was no piece work, not for us. Not the weavers used to get their piece work. They were on piece work, and they had to do certain sort of. Because my sister worked there, and she would. One day I saw her. She was going at, really full pelt. She was going, and I said to her, "Why are you working so hard?" She said, "Oh, I got to finish off my piece work. Else my money would be down this week." So I nearly got it in. So, but how they worked it, I don't know how they worked it. But, I mean, they knew they had to do so much, so much cloth, I suppose, to get to qualify for those bonuses. But we weren't. We were just on flat rate.
And there were quite a few men working.
There wasn't no male twisters, but there was men working out in the other departments that we used to see quite a lot. They'd come in and chat to us, or there might be the engineers come in and mend the loom and do work on the loom and that. But we used to go through the shop where all the men was working when we went out to get the cakes, or if we went in and out any time at all, We'd have to walk through there as all these young men, and older men and married men, And they used to whistle at us. Well, of course we liked that because we were silly young girls, But we did have a big. They did have a big social thing one year, and quite a few people came to that. That was something that the bosses put on, for the workers. So there were so many different departments. You see, I can't remember what half of them was called now. It's such a long time ago.
And I expect there'd be quite a few hundred people working there then.
Oh yes, quite a lot of people. Yes, I bet there were about 100 weavers. 150 weavers easily. Yeah, I mean we weren't the only weaving part. There was another part on the floors higher up. There's a lot of weavers up there. So there was quite a few people. Yeah, it's different departments. There was like the finishing department, the mending department. There were so many different places. And there was a place where they coloured their cloth as well. You used to see all these coloured, great big troughs, with all the coloured dye in it, where they used to dye the cloth and things like that. But I can't remember what half of it was called now. You forget the names, really.
Yes.
No, it was quite a long time ago. I mean, this was back in the 50s. I mean, though you can remember because you remember what you've done, but you can't remember all the names of different things. I mean, like the metal thing we used to have to tie around our waist, that had a name as well, but I can't remember. I've been trying for days now to remember what that was called, but I can't remember what it was called. But if you didn't have one, you just couldn't work without that simple little thing that you tied around your waist to keep the 2 pieces of cloth together, the 2 knots. You couldn't work without it.
Was there a trade union there? Did you have to belong to one? Or?
Yes, there was. I was asked to join the union when I first went there, and I think I'm sure I joined. I think I joined, but it wasn't so much union as the other factories I worked at. I worked at Chapman's Airsprung, and they were very union minded. But though I think I joined the union there at Palmer and Mackay's. I can't remember ever having anything to do with them, to be honest with you.
Do you know whether the twisting on did all the mills in Trowbridge twist on, or did some of them tie on?
Some of them tied on.
You don't know which one?
I know Salters, was it Salters? Yeah, Salters, they tied on. I know they did because my sister-in-law worked for them, and I don't know what McCall's did. I can't remember whether they twisted on or tied on.
Twisted, because I was talking to a lady last week. She mentioned this twisting on. Yes.
I know Salters tied on because and they said it took ever such a lot longer and it took a long time to tie on. But I don't think the weavers, the girls wanted to get back in the back of the looms like we did, you know. They didn't think it was very ladylike coming into the back of the loom, and because women were very feminine in those days, you know, and didn't think it was very ladylike to sort of climb up and cock your leg over the thing and get down in such a tight little space, you know, and but we didn't mind. I mean, we were only young girls. There's quite a few older married women doing it as well, sort of part-time, you know. They usually done the drawing, but if they were short, girls were away sick or anything, the others would do, yeah, the others would come out and do it, you know.
How long are your holidays?
Our holidays, we used to get 2 weeks a year. We used to get, I think, a week for Christmas, I think we got, and a week for Easter. We didn't get any longer than we really had to, you know. I mean, any normal working day we'd sort of be asked to work. And you couldn't have time off unless you got a sick note. And they were very strict about being punctual, because, you know, if you went over your time, they'd dock your quarter of an hour. It was always a quarter of an hour every few minutes. You know, they wouldn't take 5 minutes pay, they'd take quarter of an hour's pay. And if that went on all week, you know, you would, yes. But I had trouble getting, because I used to live out on the Steeple Ashton Road out of town, quite a few miles out there. And it was a long way to get to work. And my old bike collapsed in heat, so I went over to one of the bosses, to the office, and spoke to one of the bosses. I think it was Mr. Mackay himself, I think it was. He told me that I could go to Curry's and get a cycle, and that they'd stop £1 a week out of my money, out of my wages, to pay for the bicycle. And that's what I did. You know, I went over to the Curry's and picked out this green racer. And when I came to work on the Monday, he was standing around by the clocking in place, you know, by the office there. And he said, "Oh, that's a nice shiny bike." He said, "Can I have a ride on it?" So I gave him a ride on the bike, and he rode it all around, you know. And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you shouldn't be late for work now, should you?" He said, "I expect you're at 7 instead of 5 past." So I did. I used to be the first one there after that, because I could outride all the others. They had old crappy old bikes, and I had a nice new racer. And it was quite a thing in those days, you know, to have a new bicycle. We used to think it's like getting a brand new Jag today. You know. So I used to just go shooting past them, because I had gears. I used to go shooting past them. I used to be the first one in work. So one night I rode it to the pictures. We used to go to the pictures, you know, quite a number of times in the evening. And I went to the Gaumont in Trowbridge. That was where Knees got that now. And I parked my bicycle around the back by Church Walk, around the back of the little sweet shop. The old lady used to say she'd keep an eye on it there for us. And when I come out of pictures and went to get my bicycle, it had gone. No, I'm sorry. When I got out of pictures and went round to get my bicycle, I picked this cycle up, this racer, and I went cycling off with it. And I found that it wasn't mine. I thought, well, this bicycle's not mine. I've got somebody else's bike. But there wasn't another bike there, you know, so I thought, well, someone's gone off with my bike. So I turned around and went back. I just got as far as where the post office is in Trowbridge now, and was going on up Hilverton Road when I noticed that it was the wrong bike. Because it was dark and you couldn't really see the colour of it, but it felt different, you know. So I took it back, and I looked around for mine, but mine wasn't anywhere to be seen. Someone had gone off with mine. So I didn't know what to do. I walked down. I thought, well, I'll walk around and see if I can find a policeman or something. So I walked around and couldn't find anybody. And I thought, well, it's getting late. I just popped round again to see if my bike's there. And when I went back again, my bike was there and the other one had gone. So someone had done the same thing that I'd done. Picked up the wrong bike and I'm riding off on it, and realised they had the wrong bike and brought it back. I was half glad to find my bicycle.
That was nice of the management, though. Were they were good, the boss?
Oh yeah, they'd done that for quite a number of people, you know, who were finding it difficult to get to work.
Yeah.
They'd say go and buy something, you know, and they'd take it out of your pay. So quite a few girls got bicycles after that, you know.
And for your dinner break, did you have to go home for your meal?
Well, you could.
There's nothing laid on by the factory?
No, there's nothing laid on. You either went and got something uptown, sat in the park, or you would stay in the factory, whichever you please. Some people bring sandwiches and just sit there and read and chat dinner time.
Did you have a special room?
Yeah, we had a special room where we used to sit, because as I said, it was at the end of the weaving shop. And you could shut the door and it shut out quite a bit of noise of the looms, you know, so it was quiet in there. It's right in the corner. It's about the size of this room, I should think. And there were seats and that, there bench seats and a mirror and a sink in the corner, and there was a unit down the other end, sort of like a bookcase and thing. It was sort of like home from home, you know, it's really cosy. And that was where that was our department, really.
Was there any way you could make a cup of tea?
Oh,
was there a kettle or?
no, we weren't allowed to do
stove,
that.
no.
We could only have proper tea break when the forewoman used to make tea for everybody.
Yes.
And all the weaving shop, all the weavers used to come down and get a cup of tea, buy a cake and that. They used to make it twice a day, in the mornings and afternoons. About 10 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we used to take all the cups. They mostly brought their own cups. Everybody sort of, they'd come and put their cup on the tray and the forewoman would fill them all up. Then they'd take her, and sometimes we'd do the washing up. You know, if we sort of was slack and didn't have very much to do, we'd do the washing up. But you sort of more or less in between, as long as you were there, you know, there was quite a number of rules. Nobody was allowed to just sit and read. You know, if you were there, you had to sort of look busy, even if you wouldn't, and you just have to be standing there sort of waiting to be told what to do. You know, you couldn't just flop down and say, well, that's it, there's no more twist-ons, I'm going to read a book, because you'd get told off by the forewoman.
Could you smoke? Was there smoking allowed?
No, you had to go out to the toilets to smoke. You wasn't allowed to leave the factory unless sent out on something, you know, but you could smoke in the toilet. And we just got there to have a cigarette, but nobody was allowed to go out of the factory. So, there was quite a few tight rules like that. And you weren't allowed to wander into other departments. If you weren't twisting on, you had to be in your own little place, you know. But if you were going to the loo, you had to tell someone where you'd gone to. And sometimes when they had a very nice first aid man, Stan his name was, I can't remember his other name, but this was quite a way over the other part of the factory, you know. So if anybody was ill, we used to go over there, and you used to have a bed and that you could lie on. And if you had pains in your tummy, you know, or anything, he'd make you a hot water bottle, and you just have a rest on the bed in his little room. He used to be the first aid man. He used to have all the bandages and tablets, and if anyone had a headache or anything, they went and seen him. You know.
Were there many accidents?
No, I can't remember any accidents at all, not really. No, it was quite a safe place to work. Can't remember any accidents. So, no, it was quite safe. Nice, bright, cheery place as well. You know, it wasn't sort of an old drab sort of place. It was nice and airy, and they had the sort of like glass windows in the roof, so you got quite a lot of sunshine coming in. So there was quite a nice bunch of women there. You know, they'd all sing along with music while you work, and although we couldn't hear it very well over the noise of the looms, you know, it was still there in the background, just enough to hear it. Just all sing along with that, because the radio always seemed to be on all the time. You know. And they liked having the radio on. But it was quite a nice atmosphere. I enjoyed working there. So home from home, really.